If walls could speak, some would whisper, others would scream. In the heart of Minneapolis, Minnesota, there stands a house, forgotten by time, where summer dies at the doorstep and winter lives forever. Locals avoid it. History has buried it. But one room refuses to be silenced. Room 460. They say, once you step inside, you're never quite the same again. Welcome to British Hauntings, where we uncover the most terrifying and mysterious true ghost stories from across the world. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video if you love dark tales, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss what the shadows are hiding. Now then, grab a blanket, turn down the lights, and whatever you do, don't look out the window, because tonight we're taking you inside the most cursed room in America. Let's step into room 460.
I arrived at the Iceveil House on a humid July evening, the kind of night where the air clings to your skin and the city breathes heat through its pavement. The mansion stood at the end of a quiet street on the outskirts of Minneapolis, a towering, pale-bricked relic of the 1800s. Despite the season, frost coated its iron gates, and a soft fog crept from beneath the front door, like breath in winter air. I was there for one reason, room 460. Locals didn't speak much about the Iceveil House, but when they did, they always mentioned that room. Some said it was never meant to exist, that blueprints showed only 3 floors, but room 460 was on the 4th. Others whispered about a girl who never aged, who never left. I stepped inside. The moment the heavy oak door shut behind me, the warmth of the outside world vanished. I could see my own breath. The hallway stretched into silence, lit only by flickering antique lamps. The chill wasn't just in the air, it was in my bones, like I'd stepped into something ancient, something watching. The innkeeper was an old woman, silent and stiff. She handed me the key without a word, her hand trembling as if she didn't want to touch it. It was iron, heavy, cold. Room 460, I said, almost whispering. She nodded.
Once, top of the stairs. If you see her, don't speak to her. But she had already turned away, disappearing behind the desk, like a shadow dissolving into darkness. The staircase groaned under my steps as I climbed. Each floor grew colder than the last. By the time I reached the 4th, the air was sharp, like knives in my lungs. Room 460 sat at the end of the hallway, its door covered in frost, the number etched in tarnished brass. When I opened the door, a gust of frigid air hit me like a wave. The room was untouched by time. Victorian wallpaper peeled gently in the corners, and a porcelain doll sat propped on the windowsill, staring out through frosted glass. The bed was neatly made, but the sheets looked undisturbed for years. Ice curled around the legs of the furniture like roots. I set my bag down and reached for my phone to film the moment. I was a content creator after all. This was meant to be a viral video, but something stopped me, a whisper. It was faint, barely there, a child's voice. My skin turned to glass. I spun toward the sound. I decided to lie down. The cold made it hard to think. My body ached from the chill, but somehow my eyelids grew heavy. That's when I saw her, standing by the window, a girl, 7, maybe 8 years old. She wore a white nightgown that clung to her thin frame like it had been soaked and frozen. Her skin was bluish, her eyes cloudy like glass marbles. Ice formed where she stood, creeping up the curtains and walls. "Are you my mother?" she asked. I couldn't answer. I couldn't move. She stepped closer, leaving frost marks on the floor with each step. Her breath came out in slow, frozen clouds. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but I was frozen, not by fear, but by the room itself. She reached out. Her hand hovered inches from mine, and then darkness. When I awoke, it was morning. The sun poured through the window. The frost was gone. The girl was gone, but so was my phone, my bag, even my clothes. All that remained was a white nightgown folded neatly on the bed, one that looked like it belonged belonged to a child. I ran downstairs. The innkeeper wasn't there. No one was. I burst out the front door into blazing sunlight, but my breath still fogged the air. The cold hadn't left me. It had followed. They say the Iceveil House doesn't let you leave empty-handed. Some guests take the cold with them. Some take the voices. Others, they never leave at all. As for room 460, it's always waiting. And the girl at the window, she still asks for her mother.
It's been 6 months since I left the Iceveil House. 6 months of sleepless nights, of icy breath curling out of my mouth even in August, of mirrors fogging up on their own, of frost forming on my bedroom windows from the inside. Doctors said it was anemia. Then they said it was in my head. But how do you explain the handprints? Small, childlike, left in frost on the inside of my car windows. How do you explain hearing the floor creak in the middle of the night, the sound of soft barefoot steps on cold wood? I tried to ignore it at first. I told myself it was trauma, that what I saw in room 460 wasn't real. But denial only feeds her. Ignoring her doesn't make her vanish, it makes her bolder. The first time I saw her again, I was brushing my teeth. Steam from the hot water blurred the bathroom mirror, and then it cleared, slowly, unnaturally, until a single word was visible in the fog. I smashed the mirror, packed a bag, checked into a hotel across town. The hotel room window iced over that night. I turned on every light, every heater, even the shower. Still, I woke up to see her, standing at the foot of the bed, eyes glassy, dress clinging to her like wet silk. She didn't move, just stared, as if waiting. I drove south, through Iowa, then Missouri. Thought maybe I could outrun her, but no matter how far I went, the cold came with me. Frost formed inside the glove box. The AC blew ice instead of air even when it was off. At a diner in Kansas City, I reached for the ketchup and saw a child's handprint on the window beside me. A waitress saw it too. She went pale, dropped a tray of plates. "Did you say you came from Minnesota?" she whispered. She just shook her head. "You need to burn what she gave you." "I didn't take anything," I said. Her eyes narrowed. "Then she gave you herself." I tried everything. Therapy, exorcism. I even called a psychic off the dark web. The old man showed up, looked around my apartment and said, "She thinks you're her mother." "She's not mine," I told him. He gave me a long, sad look. "She is now. Last night was the worst. I woke up to find my bedroom covered in frost, furniture frozen solid. The mirror had cracked from the cold, and on it, drawn with a child's finger, she was standing at the doorway, barefoot on the ice-covered carpet. But this time she wasn't alone. His face was gaunt, lips blue, hands blackened by frostbite. Then another child stepped forward. They just stood there, watching, waiting. The temperature dropped so fast my breath froze mid-air. I don't know how many nights I have left. I don't know what they want from me. But I know this. Room 460 wasn't just haunted. It was a trap. A nursery of frozen souls looking for a mother. And I made the mistake of entering their room. Now they've made me part of their family. And you, if you're ever in Minneapolis and you see a mansion with frost on the gates, even in July, don't go in. Because the girl at the window isn't just looking for her mother anymore. She's looking for you. They say it was just a story. A viral video gone too far. A hoax meant to scare tourists and rake in ad revenue. But last month someone else checked into the Iceveil House. A thrill seeker, a skeptic. Her name was Jenna Klein, a travel vlogger with over 2 million subscribers. Her videos were all adrenaline and sarcasm. 24 hours in a haunted jail, sleeping in a crypt, ghost hunting at a serial killer's cabin. When her followers dared her to spend the night in room 460, she said yes. The video never made it online. Her last Instagram post was a photo of the mansion's gate, captioned, "Let's find the Iceveil truth. Room 460, ghost debunked." The timestamp, 7:46 p.m. The police searched the house. The innkeeper, if she ever existed, was gone. No staff, no guests. The building was empty, abandoned. The electricity was off. The pipes were dry. But they found something on the 4th floor. A room that didn't match the blueprints. Door frozen shut. Brass plate that read 460. It took 3 officers and a blowtorch to break it open. Inside was a perfectly preserved Victorian bedroom. A bed, a dresser, a porcelain doll in the window. No Jenna. Just a single handprint on the frosted mirror. Small, childlike. And beneath it, written in the frost, they never found her body. Her phone was discovered weeks later, miles away. On the edge of a frozen lake, its screen cracked, playing the same clip on loop.
Jenna, inside the room, laughing. I don't see any ghosts, just dust and drama. Then her breath catches. She turns towards something off camera. I saw that footage before it was taken down. The frame stopped at the moment her face twisted, not in fear, but recognition, like she saw someone she knew. And I knew what she saw, because I'd seen her too. The girl in white, with eyes like cracked glass and skin like winter. Now the Iceveil House is boarded up. They say it's condemned. But sometimes on cold nights, locals swear. They see a light in the attic window, a little girl waving. And if you stand quiet enough near the gates, you can hear soft footsteps in the snow that's not really there, and a voice. But here's the truth no one dares to admit. Once room 460 chooses you, you never really leave. You just become part of the frost. And someday soon, she'll open the door again, and someone else will walk in. My name is Daniel Mercer. I investigate hauntings for a living. Not the YouTube kind, the real kind. I've worked with exorcists, interviewed survivors, stood in blood-stained basements where people swear they heard the devil speak, but nothing prepared me for room 460. The Jenna Klein case got buried fast. No headlines, no follow-ups. Just another influencer gone missing in America. But I saw the footage before it was erased. I knew the signs, the frost, the missing time, the child's voice. I knew it wasn't over, so I booked a flight to Minneapolis. The Iceveil House looked like it had been dead for decades. Boarded windows, caution tape, no trespassing signs. But the gate still frosted. In July, the frost was real, cold to the touch, and I swear, as I ran my fingers along it, something inside the house breathed. I broke in through the back. Inside, the temperature dropped 20 degrees instantly. My flashlight flickered, struggling against the gloom. The house felt aware, like it had a heartbeat, like it had lungs. I made my way up the stairs. Each step creaked like a scream. Paint peeled from the walls in long, curling sheets like dried skin. The air was thick with rot and mildew, and something worse, grief. Then I saw it. Room 460. Door covered in ice. No hinges, no frame. Just there, like it had grown from the house itself. I reached out. The doorknob burned with cold, and as I turned it, I heard her. "Are you my father?" The room was exactly as described. Victorian decor, frost climbing the walls like ivy, a crib, a dresser, and in the window, that same porcelain doll, its eyes now cracked open. I pulled out my EVP recorder. Dead silence. A voice. Several children whispering. I turned to leave. The door was gone. In its place, wallpaper, as if the room had swallowed the exit. And behind me, from the bed, the girl sat up. She didn't blink, didn't breathe, just stared. Then she smiled, but not like a child, like something ancient, something cold. The frost closed in. My recorder shattered in my hand. The windows cracked. The walls wept cold water. A scream, distant hollow, rattled the chandelier above. I tried to speak, to command, to pray, but the house didn't care, because I wasn't the first, and I wouldn't be the last. When I woke up, I was outside, lying on the frozen grass. My gear was gone, my phone melted. Only one thing remained in my jacket pocket, a black and white portrait of the girl in room 46, standing beside a man. The man was me. Dated February 12th, 1886. I don't remember taking it. I don't remember ever being there, but every night since, I dream of frost. They called it the long winter. Minneapolis froze over in 1886. Weeks of snow, wind, and darkness. But inside, the grandest home on Ashbury Hill, another kind of cold settled. Not from the skies, but from grief. This is where it began, before the frost. Before the whispers, before room 460 ever had a name. The house belonged to Dr. Elias Thorne, a wealthy physician known for treating the city's elite and experimenting with life extension. His wife, Catherine, died giving birth to their only child, Annabelle, in the dead of winter. Dr. Thorne was never the same. He locked himself in the attic with the child for weeks. Servants claimed he refused to heat the room, saying she needed to grow strong in the cold, like her mother. Others said he was trying to freeze time, to stop death from ever touching Annabelle. What we know is this. One morning, the housemaid brought up warm milk. The door was open, the crib was empty, and Dr. Thorne was kneeling in the middle of the room, whispering to a frozen bundle of cloth clutched in his arms. Annabelle had died sometime in the night, but Elias refused to bury her. He swore she still breathed, that her spirit hadn't left. He began building something in the attic, a new room, a sealed nursery with walls layered in tin and iron to contain the chill. He called it Room 460, though the house only had 3 floors. No one dared stop him. For the next year, people heard strange sounds from the attic, children's laughter, then screaming, cries for mama, doors slamming where no doors existed. Then, one day, the house went quiet. The servants fled, and when the city inspector arrived to shut the place down, there was no trace of Elias Thorne. Only a frost-covered door where the attic should have ended. Behind it, a perfectly preserved room, an empty crib, and a single note, nailed to the wall in a trembling hand. The house was sealed, forgotten, buried in city records as a fire hazard. But legends spread that people who passed too close in winter would feel an unnatural chill, that sometimes a girl's voice called out through the snow, and over time the house began to feed. Every time someone stepped into room 460, the frost grew stronger, and every time the girl came closer to being whole again. They say the ghost isn't just Annabelle anymore, that her loneliness fractured, became many, that room 460 is now a nursery of the lost, children never buried, souls never named, waiting for a family. So, if you ever wonder why Minneapolis winters seem colder than they should, remember this.
It began with a doctor's love for his daughter, but it became something else, something eternal, something that waits behind a frozen door, and every few years, someone opens it. Winter had returned to Minneapolis, but this time, it was different. The cold wasn't just outside. It seeped into the city's bones, creeping into homes and hearts alike. No one knew the storm was a signal. It began with a phone call Daniel Mercer, the investigator, heard, a whisper through the static on his recorder, a voice so soft, so fragile it was almost drowned by the crackling noise. Across town, the frost on his windows thickened. The ice spread like ink, blotting out the world. The chilling breath of room 460 was no longer confined to a forgotten house. It had come alive. Meanwhile, deep in a dreamlike state, I saw her, the girl in white, the frozen child, Annabelle. She was no longer the pale ghost of a frightened child. Her eyes burned bright with an icy fire. Her smile was both innocent and terrifying. She whispered promises of reunion, of warmth in the cold. The house was awakening. Across the city, reports came in. Power outages, freezing temperatures inside homes with heaters on full blast, windows shattering from frost forming too fast. The city was slipping into an unnatural winter, and in the heart of it all, the Iceveil House's gates creaked open. Daniel knew it was a summons. This time, room 460 wasn't just waiting for a visitor. It was ready. The frozen doors swung wide. Inside, the nursery was glowing softly, bathed in cold blue light. Annabelle stood in the center. "Come home," she said. Daniel stepped inside. The air bit at his skin, but he didn't flinch. He looked into Annabelle's eyes and saw centuries of loneliness. The frost wrapped around him like a mother's embrace. He knew this was no longer a haunting. It was a homecoming. And somewhere beyond the veil of frost and shadow, the lost children smiled. Room 460 had found its family again. If you ever hear a child whisper in the winter wind, if you ever see frost creeping up your windows in the heat of summer, remember this story, because Annabelle's return means one thing: the cold is never truly gone. It waits and it calls. The story of Room 460 isn't just a ghost tale. It's a warning, a whisper from the frozen past reaching into our present. Annabelle's sorrow, her endless waiting, reminds us that some losses never heal, that love can trap as much as it can free, and that sometimes the cold isn't just outside, it's inside.